Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy, and in this tutorial I am going to show you the safe and secure way to install and run Claude Code on your Hostinger Virtual Private Server, or VPS. Today's tutorial was inspired by a comment from one of you, so thank you. So about a month or so ago, I created a video on how to install Claude Code on your Hostinger VPS, and I did so as the root user. The comment and that grimacing face emoji of ugh is correctly calling out that it is a security risk to run an agent such as Claude Code as the root user on your VPS. When you set up your Hostinger VPS, the default user whenever you launch the terminal or SSH into your VPS remotely is root. Root is the super user on your VPS. It is the boss. It holds the master keys of your VPS, and the root user can do anything on your VPS, including screwing things up. When you install and run Claude Code, when you are signed in as the root user on your VPS, you are basically giving Claude Code the master keys to your VPS. You are telling Claude Code, you can do anything you want on my VPS. Where it becomes risky using Claude Code as the root user, or using Claude Code with all admin privileges. If Claude Code makes a serious mistake, or maybe it starts hallucinating on commands, or maybe it goes out and gets a project and that project has some malicious file or malicious code in it, in the worst case scenario, if your VPS was ever compromised, so if somebody got access to your VPS, they have the full power of Claude Code to basically wreak havoc on your VPS. They can wipe out files, overwrite config files, they could even take down your entire VPS. The safe and secure solution. So instead of installing and running Claude Code on your VPS as the root user, which introduces those security risks or vulnerabilities, what I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial is install and run Claude Code as a non-root user. So when you create a non-root user, which is another way of saying a normal user on your VPS that is not the root user, this non-root user is created in its own directory or its own folder. So what we do is we install Claude Code in this non-root user's directory, and we launch it in that directory. So if Claude Code makes a catastrophic mistake, or if it starts hallucinating and screwing things up, or if it injects some malicious code, or even if it got hijacked in a Claude Code session, well, it's only going to affect the non-root user's directory. Now, Claude Code is going to be able to do most things on your VPS as the non-root user. But where the safeguards or the guardrails come in place is there are some things in your VPS where Claude is going to say, hey, wait a minute, only a root user has permission to do this. And that's exactly what we want. We want Claude Code to not be able to do anything it wants at all times. So to overcome that, what we do is give our non-root user what is called Sudo Priveleges. Sudo stands for Super User Do. Sudo basically allows a non-root user or a normal user the ability to act like the root user. It can borrow the master keys when it needs to. And the way that it does that, it puts the word sudo before a command. And because we're going to add our non-root user to what is called a Sudo group, the VPS is going to know, okay, this user has permission as long as it puts sudo in front of the command. In this tutorial, I am going to create a non-root user with Sudo Privileges, but I'm going to go through it pretty quickly as I have an entire tutorial that goes much more in depth. So check the link in the description if you want to watch that video first. So here is exactly what we're about to do. We're going to create a new non-root user. We are then going to give our new user Sudo Privileges so it can act like the root user whenever it needs to. We then need to copy the public SSH key to the new user. That's going to allow us to remotely access as the new user. We're going to test the SSH login just to make sure it works. And then we're going to install Claude Code on our new user. This tutorial was recorded in March of 2026, so I am going to show you how to install Claude Code using the most recent native install. This is the recommended method by the Claude Code docs. So after we install Claude Code, we're going to test it out and make sure it works. So we'll launch Claude Code, we're going to log in or authorize, make sure it works. After we install Claude Code, well, then we're going to launch Claude Code. We're going to sign in or authorize your account. Just make sure that everything is working. And I'll show you what happens when Claude Code needs those Sudo privileges. The prerequisites in order for you to follow along with everything that I'm doing in this tutorial. Well, first you need a Hostinger VPS, and my VPS is running with the Ubuntu operating system. In order to set everything up, you will need to sign in as the root user. So you need root user access. And then you just need the Claude Pro or Claude Max subscription in order to be able to sign in and use Claude Code. Sign into your Hostinger VPS dashboard and launch the terminal. To do so, I'm on the Overview tab. I'm going to click on the terminal button in the top right corner. To get rid of all of this text, I'm going to type clear at the command line and tap return. Now I can see that I'm signed in as root, but to check the username and just confirm that you are also signed in as root, all you have to do in the command line is type out whoami. No spaces between letters, just type whoami, tap return. That's going to return the username that you're currently signed into. So just make sure you are signed in as root. So just like your root user has a root password, when you create the new non-root user, you are going to be prompted to supply the password for that new user. So in your password manager of choice, for me that is 1Password, create a new login using the username that you want to use for your non-root user, and then just generate a strong password so you can just copy and paste the password right in the terminal. So here we go. We're going to create a new user. So in your VPS terminal, the first thing you need to make sure that you're signed in as the root user. If you're not sure, you can type whoami, tap return, and it should return root. And now we're going to add a new user. To do so, we're going to type ADDUSER, add user, space. Now enter in the name that you want to use for your new non-root user. So for me, I'm just going to type Mike. When I tap return, I'm going to need to enter in the password. So I'll tap return, new password. So I have my 1Password open. I'm just going to click copy. I'm going to paste it. Now, when you paste in the password, it looks like nothing happens. So don't worry, it actually is going to paste, but it's just not going to show you. So I'll type Command V. Again, it looks like nothing happened. Tap return though, and it's going to ask you to retype the password. I'm going to paste it in again, Command V. Tap return. If there was a mismatch, it's going to tell you there's a mismatch. Otherwise, it's going to say password updated successfully. Now we're going to get a series of prompts. These are known as GECOS Information. This is basically an old Unix metadata thing. We're going to completely ignore all of them by just tapping the return key until we get to the end. So full name, tap return, room number, tap return, work number or work phone, return, home phone, return, other, return. Is the information correct? Absolutely. We're going to type Y for yes, tap return. Okay, we just got through the GECOS information. I'm going to clear the terminal window by just typing clear, tap return. I have created the new user called Mike. So now I want to be able to give Mike Sudo privileges. So whenever it needs to borrow the master keys and act like the root user, well, Mike is going to have permissions because Mike is going to belong to what is called the Sudo Group. I'm going to go back to the terminal, paste it in. I use the right arrow to put my cursor at the end. I'm going to put a space after sudo, and I'm going to type in my new non-root username, which for me is Mike. So that's all you need to do. I'm going to tap return, and we just added Mike to the Sudo group. To switch users, so when you want to change into the username that you just created, you're going to type SU for switch users, space, and then just type in the name of your new user. So SU, Mike, tap return, and now you can see I am signed in as Mike. If I type in that command, whoami, whoami, tap return, instead of returning root, it is now returning my new username. And you may have noticed this $sign. That indicates that I am now signed in as a normal user or a non-root user. And when you're signed in as the root user, that $sign will be a hashtag instead. Now to test that out, we'll switch back to root by entering SU space root, ROOT. And the password that you enter is the root password. So you have to keep track of 2 passwords here. I'm going to paste in my root password, not my new mic password. Again, it's not going to look like I pasted anything in, but I'm tapping return. And now I'm back to root. I can see the hashtag, and if I type in who am I, sure enough, I'm now signed into root. The next couple steps, we need to make sure that we can remotely connect our new user to our VPS using SSH and SSH keys. Now I'm going to assume that most of you watching this video are already familiar with SSH and SSH keys, and if you're not, check the link in the description. I have a full tutorial all about SSH. The quick refresher. SSH stands for Secure Shell. SSH is the protocol. It is the most secure way that you can connect remotely to your VPS. You typically do so either in a terminal or using something called an SSH client. The SSH client that I use is called Termius. SSH connections are encrypted from end to end, so they're secure. And what also makes SSH secure is that instead of using passwords, the credentials that you use are SSH keys. You create SSH keys locally on your computer, and there's all sorts of ways that you can create them. You can use 1Password, you can create them in the terminal, and you can create them in your SSH client like Termius. When you create a new SSH key locally on your computer, you actually create 2 at a time. They come in pairs. You'll often hear the term key pair when talking about SSH keys. The key pair consists of a private key and a public key. The private key you store locally and securely on your local computer. You never let anyone see your private SSH key. The public key you add to your Hostinger VPS dashboard. You'll find it under Settings, SSH Keys. You click the plus add SSH key and you paste in your public SSH key. When you use an SSH client like Termius to remotely connect your VPS using SSH and SSH keys, you give Termius the private SSH key that is stored locally on your computer. So you set that up as a new host. And then whenever you want to connect remotely to your VPS, you basically are just knocking on the front door of the VPS. Remember, you have the private key in Termius or on your local computer. Your VPS has the public key. So when you knock on the front door, the VPS says, okay, I have that public key. You need to prove to me that you have the other half, that you are the owner of the private key that matches the public key. Now, they're not the exact same thing, but there is a match. That's what makes them the key pair. And if you can prove that you have the right other half of the key pair, well, then the VPS is going to grant you access, and now you can remotely and securely connect to your VPS terminal. You can use the same SSH keys for multiple users on your VPS. And this is fine if you're a solo user like I am. I am the only one that accesses my VPS, so using the same SSH key is fine. If you're a business or if you have multiple people accessing the same VPS, well, you might want to create a new SSH key pair for each new non-root user that you create. But in my case, I'm going to use the same SSH key for both my root user and the new user Mike that I just created. Right now, the public SSH key on my VPS is only in the root directory. So in order to tell the VPS that it's okay for my new non-root user Mike to also use the same SSH key, what I need to do is copy the SSH key into my new directory, which is in the home directory, and there you will see Mike. So I just need to copy it in this Mike users directory. Whenever you add a new public SSH key in your Hostinger VPS dashboard, it always puts the new SSH key in the root directory. So if you want to be able to use the same SSH key in another directory, in your non-root users directory, well, you just need to copy the public SSH key into that directory, and you just need to set some permissions. After we copy the public SSH key on the VPS to the new non-root user directory, in my case, Mike, then we just need to deal with the private key. Remember, the private SSH key is stored locally on your computer. So what I'm going to do after we deal with the public SSH key, in the terminal on my Mac, I'm going to open up the SSH config file. In this file, I tell my Mac how to connect to my Hostinger VPS using SSH. So this little shortcut right here tells my Mac whenever I enter SSH space Hostinger VPS to automatically connect to my VPS IP address, which is listed right here, using the username root. Now my MacBook right now doesn't know that I just created a new user, so I just need to tell it the new credentials. So now I'm going to create a new little shortcut. So whenever I enter SSH space Hostinger VPS -Mike, now my MacBook is going to connect to my VPS IP address with the new username Mike. It is now time for us to copy the public SSH key to the new non-root user directory. So all we're going to do is just copy and paste this entire command in the VPS terminal. But some things I just want to call out so you understand what we're doing here. First, you want to make sure that before you run this command that you are logged in as the root user. So not the new user. You want to make sure that you're signed in as the root user. The first line, make dir. Make dir just stands for make directory or make a new folder. And we're going to call the new folder .ssh. Remember, when you see a dot or a period before any folder or file, that means that it is a hidden folder or file. And if you're visual, we can see it easily in SFTP using Termius. So we can go into root. There's the home folder. So I'll double click on that. There we're going to see Mike. And we're going to copy the .ssh folder right here inside of Mike. And if you're like, can I just copy and paste things right here using SFTP so I can visually do it instead of doing it in the terminal? The answer is yes. In Termius or any place where you use SFTP, you can show hidden files by clicking on Actions in Termius and choose Show Hidden Files. There you're going to see that hidden .ssh folder. You can right-click and choose Copy to Target Directory. And then you need to go into the home directory, go into your new non-root user. You're going to paste, then you're going to right-click, and you're going to choose Edit Permissions, and you're going to lock down the permissions. But we want to be pro developers and get comfortable in the terminal, so we're going to do everything in the terminal, and it's just as easy in the terminal. The second line, CP, just stands for copy. We're just copying over the public key from the root directory into the new Mike non-root user directory. The next two lines tell our VPS that Mike owns these files, and the last one locks down the permissions, so SSH is going to accept the key. I've got my VPS terminal open. I'm signed in as the root user. I'm going to paste in that entire command. Anything after the hashtag is just going to be ignored, so you can put in the comments and it will be okay. I'm going to tap return. I just did it in the blink of an eye. And to prove to you that it works, back in Termius as SFTP, I'm going to open up my Mike directory, and there is the .ssh directory that we just copied from the root directory or the root folder into this new non-root user. If I right-click and choose Edit Permissions, we just lock down the permissions, and the ownership is now under the new user Mike. Now I'm on my MacBook where the private SSH key is stored. So I'm going to open up the Mac OS terminal. I'm going to type in Nano to open up the built-in Nano text editor. Space. Tilde says to go in the home directory on my Mac /.ssh/config. Tap return. The Nano text editor should open. Host. This is like the alias or the shortcut that you want to be able to enter in the terminal whenever you want your Mac to connect to your VPS using SSH. You can name the host anything that you want. Host name. You're going to enter in the IP address of your VPS, and then user. You're going to enter in the username. Using the arrow keys on my keyboard, I'm just going to navigate using the cursor. I'm going to go to the end here, tap return a couple times to make some space. I'm just going to basically copy everything from above and just make some slight changes. So for the host, I'm going to put a space. This is the alias or the shortcut that I want to use. So I'm just going to do Hostinger VPS, and I'm just going to use -Mike. So now I know whenever I want to connect as Mike. I'll tap return, go to the next line, host name, no spaces, then a space after that. Now you're going to enter in the VPS IP address. After you enter in your IP address, and by the way, this is not my actual IP address, I'm just using a fake one for the purpose of the tutorial. I'll go to the next line, I'll type user, and now I'm going to enter in Mike. You are going to enter in your new non-root user here. Now, I use 1Password to manage all of my SSH keys on my Mac. So this is what I need to put in my SSH config file to tell my Mac to always use the keys that are stored in 1Password. And if you do not use 1Password, you will likely add this line identity file. When in doubt, just ask Claude or your favorite AI, what do I put in this file? And it'll take care of you. When you are done editing the .ssh config file, telling your Mac your new username and the new alias or shortcut that you want to use, well, now it's time to save or write out of the Nano Editor and exit. To do that, if you look at the bottom, the first thing you do is write out or save. You just press the Control key and tap the letter O. And now you need to commit the changes or write it to the file. Just tap the return or the enter key. And to exit out, you're just going to press the Control key again and tap the letter X. So let's test it out and see if we can connect remotely to our VPS over SSH. So I'll type in SSH space, and now I'm going to enter in that alias or shortcut that I created for Mike. So Hostinger VPS Mike. Tap return. Well, how about that? I am now connected remotely and securely without entering any passwords using SSH from my Mac to my Hostinger VPS terminal as Mike. And if I type in who am I, confirmation I am signed in as Mike. How cool is that? And just as an FYI, the first time you try to connect using SSH on your Mac, you might see this message about the authenticity of the host, and you will see, are you sure you want to continue connecting? All you have to do is just type in yes and tap return. It is finally time to install and use Claude Code as the non-root user. But in order to install and launch Claude Code, I need to be into my new root user. So to do that, we're going to use the switch user. Only this time, I'm going to add a dash. So I'm going to type in SU space dash, and then I'm going to put another space and enter in the name of the new non-root user. That little dash is going to make sure that I'm in the top level directory. So when I tap return, this time it's showing me that I'm in that $, and I see the tilde indicating that I'm in the top level home directory for Mike. And I can confirm that by typing pwd for print working directory. And now I can see I'm in that top level home and I'm in the Mike directory. This is where I'm going to install Claude Code. So I'm going to go to the Anthropic Claude Code docs. We're going to use the native install recommended, and your VPS is a Linux device. So what you need to do is just copy this entire command and make sure you include bash. You can also click this icon right here. That's going to copy the entire command. Back in the terminal, just make sure that you're in the new non-root user and not in root. You're going to paste in that entire command. I'll tap the right arrow key to put my cursor at the end. So this installs Claude Code. Tap return. Claude Code is installing on my VPS in the Mike directory. It's installing using that native build. So Claude Code was successfully installed. It's located in this .local directory, but there is some setup notes here telling us that the native installation exists, but it is not yet in the path. So Claude is saying to fix that, all you need to do is just run this command. So I'm going to copy this entire line, Command C, and I'm just going to paste it in the command line, Command V. I'll tap the right arrow key to go to the end, and I'm going to tap Return. And that is going to put it in the path, so we're good to go. And step 2 of the quick start guide tells us that after you install Claude Code, well, now you need to launch Claude and log in or authorize. And remember, in order to use Claude Code, you must be on either the Claude Pro or Claude Max plan. I'm going to press clear to clear out the terminal window. And now I'm going to launch Claude by just simply typing CLAUDE, tap Return. And how about that? Claude Code is launched. So now you just need to customize it. I'm going to keep it in dark mode. If you want to change it, you can use the arrow keys. I'll keep it in dark mode. I'm going to tap the Return or the Enter key. And now we need to sign in or authorize Claude Code to prove that we have a Pro or a Max plan. Or if you're a developer, you can use your API key. Or if you're an enterprise client, you can use a third-party platform like Amazon Bedrock, etc. But I am just going to authorize using my Claude Pro account. So I can use the arrow keys to make sure that I have the right one selected. So I'm going to select number 1, and I'm just going to tap Return. And now I'm just going to copy this big long URL. And if you're wondering why it looks so big, it's because I'm zoomed in on the terminal window. If I zoom out, you will see this is what you should be seeing. So I need to copy this big long URL that Claude Code gave me, and I'm going to paste it in a browser window. So I've got a new tab open in Chrome. I'm going to go up in the search bar. I'm just going to paste in that long URL that Claude gave me, tap Return. That's going to take me to Claude, where now I just need to connect Claude to my account. So I'll click Authorize. I'm going to copy this code, so I can just click this button, Copy Code. I'm going to return to the terminal. You can see here it says Paste Code here if prompted. I'm going to paste it in. I'll tap Return. I just authorized Claude Code. Login successful. Press Enter to continue. I'll tap Enter or Return. Tap Enter again. I'll tap 1. Yes, I trust this folder. Mission accomplished. We did it. Congratulations. We are now up and running using Claude Code as our new non-root user, and you can see the path where Claude Code is. We're in the home directory in another directory called Mike. The first thing that I like to do whenever I install Claude Code is to call up the Claude Doctor and just make sure that everything is running properly. So to do that, in the prompt, I'm just going to type the / start typing Doctor. You will see it listed there. Doctor diagnoses and verifies your Claude Code installations and settings. Tap Return. Everything looks good. Tap Enter or Return to continue. I'm going to exit out of Claude Code by typing the / exit, tap Return. That's going to send us back to the command line on our VPS. I can type clear, and now it just looks like our VPS terminal. And to confirm or prove that Claude is only installed and running as our non-root user, I'm going to type Claude -- version. And that is going to return the version number. So that just confirms that Claude Code is installed for the Mike user. I'm going to switch users back to the root user. So I'll type SU -- type in root. I'm going to enter in the root password, not Mike's password, root's password. Command V. Looks like nothing happened. I promise you it did. I'll tap Return. So now I'm back in root. And I can tell that by typing who am I. Now if I type Claude -- version, tap Return, look at that. Claude, command not found. It's not installed on root. It is only installed on Mike. So when you want to use Claude Code on your VPS with the guardrails or with the safety measures so you really can't screw up your entire VPS if Claude makes huge mistakes, you need to change users or switch users to the non-root user where you install Claude Code. So I want to type in su space dash space Mike. I'll tap return. I'm now in Mike. And now I can launch Claude Code anytime I want by just typing Claude, tap return. Yes, I trust this folder. And I'll zoom out a little bit. That should look a little bit more familiar to you. I can say run a health check on my VPS. Tap return. Yes, I want to proceed. It's flavored bedding. Yes, I'll tap 2 actually. Overall healthy. Nice. Now what happens when I want Claude to do something that requires root permissions or more permissions than my non-root user has? So I'll say, can you update the Ubuntu OS packages? I tap return. This command requires approval. It requires Sudo Priveleges. So Claude knows that if it wants to run this command, it needs to enter sudo. I'll go down to 2 and I'll tap return. Claude Code is telling me it cannot run the sudo command non-interactively without a password prompt, but it's given me some options or solutions. For this particular command of updating the operating system, the real solution Claude is offering is number 2. Claude is saying, if you want me to be able to update the operating system packages using the sudo privileges for Mike, well, you need to configure passwordless sudo. So you can just tell Claude Code, yes, I would like you to do this. And then once Claude Code does it, it will be able to handle this in future sessions. And to exit out of Claude Code, /exit, tap return, I'll tap clear, and we're back in a VPS terminal, signed in as the non-root user Mike. And if I connect remotely to my Hostinger VPS using SSH, and if I'm signed in as the root user, no problem. I'm just going to switch to my Mike user, su space dash space Mike, tap return. I'm now in as Mike. I can confirm that by typing who am I. And now I can launch Claude Code right here in Terminus by just typing Claude, tap return, tap 1. We are now in Claude Code in Terminus. Same as on my Mac, SSH space Hostinger VPS. I can connect as root, or if I want to connect as Mike, Mike. I'm using 1Password, so I need to authorize that I want to use that SSH key. I'm now connected to my VPS. Easy as that. I'm in Mike, so when I want to launch Claude, all I need to do, CLAUD, yes. Claude is running on my Mac. And that is the safe and secure way to install and launch Claude Code as a non-root user on your Hostinger virtual private server. My name is Mike Murphy, your AI handyman. Cheers.